Hey guys, what is going on? This is Cardinal Bird 5, and today I'm going to do my initial impressions of MLB The Show 18. Mainly going to be talking about some gameplay. I'll talk about content and all that other stuff later on. And I know today the servers went down for a little bit to fix some things on the market. But this video is, I'm just going to kind of talk about the gameplay and how I feel so far and what I think needs to be fixed. Some of the good things they fixed from 17. And some of the things that I think need to be fixed for the future. Anyways, let's go ahead and get started. And I do apologize in advance. I'm going to be kind of rambling. I might go off topic a little bit here and there. But just bear with me. I'm going to try to cover a lot of different areas of the game. The first thing I want to talk about is the hitting. So the hitting feels really similar to 17. There are a few differences. But I will just say off the bat, if you're playing an online game, the pitch speed is significantly slower. And actually, if you play a game offline and you put the pitch speed sliders, the off speed and fastball, if you drop them all the way to 0, I think that's where the pitch speed is for online gameplay right now at this juncture. So it's really, really slow. It's not just, a little bit slower from like 16 to 17 or 15 to 16 where, they adjusted it a little bit. It's a lot slower. And I actually want to do some tests on this later on to show you guys the difference between like how much reaction time you have or how much slower it actually is. I would like to eventually do some videos on that and show some tests. I don't want to make a big deal out of it by too much though, because this is something they can fix easily and it's really just a matter of them adjusting a slider. But I really do feel like it is a problem because nobody respects a fastball. An average player that and I know that kind of has a negative tone to it, but I'm just for real here. I'm trying to be serious. Like a player that's just starting out, a casual player that doesn't put much time into the game, can go out there and turn on fastballs with ease. And this game used to be about if you're able to turn on fastballs, even back in the day in 12, 13, 14, 15, if you're able to turn on fastballs and hit fastballs, and people had to throw you off speed and mix up pitches, that was really the difference between a great player and just an average player. A lot of players struggled with hitting fastballs, and there was a reason for that. It was not easy to do. It was something that took a lot of practice. And I'm talking about pre-monitor phase here too. I'm talking about before people got monitors and all that. I don't think the pitch speed should be as high as like 15. I went back and played it a little bit today, and it is super fast compared to this game. But I think there should be some balance there to where players have to somewhat respect the fastball. Otherwise, they're able to set off speed and adjust, and there's really no strategy in pitching, or really, in my opinion, hitting. You just want to sit back and keep your bat back and just look for off speed, kind of like how 17 was, because you could get away with it with late hits. So that's all I'll say about the pitch speed. I do hope it gets fixed. I think it will get fixed, and it should be an easy fix. Let me know how you guys feel about pitch speed. I know a lot of people might like where it's at because it kind of puts everybody, I wouldn't say on a fair playing field, but it makes it easier for newer players to get into the game. I'll just say that if they're going to do that, they need to add other modes for competitive players and whatnot, rather than making us play on one pitch speed for every single mode, where it's incredibly slow. The next thing I want to talk about, and I think this is even a bigger issue because this might be more difficult to fix, is the PCI and the fact that it cannot get to the corners. So I actually switched to wedge real quick here. All right, there's wedge. So after this pitch, it will show you, but you cannot reach the corners with your PCI this year. There's some things I like about that, but there's some things I think need to be fixed. I think it went a little bit too overboard. In the past 3 years, your PCI could reach all the way to the bottom of the strike zone. In the center of your PCI, where you see that dot on my wedge, you could get to the very bottom of the strike zone. Like the dot would be even with the bottom line there in the strike zone. This year, this is how far low as it will go, and it also cannot get to the corners. So watch me try to place in the corners. You cannot get there. All right. Now, this does make control pitchers slash finesse pitchers a little bit more effective, but it's to the point where they're I wouldn't say they're OP. It's really the only pitching strategy to use. Just keep the ball down and pitch to the corners, and there's really no strategy in it because you just simply cannot get to the pitch. It's really OP, and if they can just hit that spot over and over, low and away or low and in, you really can't do much with it. Now, I will say there are some things you can do to where you can actually get your PCI lower or higher. So if the pitch is pitched down and away, and you wait a little bit longer and you're late or just late, the PCI will drop and you'll be able to hit the ball and get the dot closer to it. The problem with that is it's probably going to be foul more often than not if you don't have good timing. Now, if the pitch is inside and say you're just early or you have good timing, your PCI is going to be on top of the pitch, you know, down there in the strike zone, you know, on the black. You're not going to be able to elevate it at all. And to me, that just really isn't realistic. One, it's not realistic, and two, I don't think it's good for the game. There's no balance. The meta simply is just to spam low off-speed pitches. But low and inside pitches, there's really not much you can do with them. You just have to hope they hang them. So high pitches are a little bit different, even though it can't reach that high. Like I said, if you swing early, your PCI will go a little bit higher, but the high pitches just seem to carry a little bit more, which I'm fine with. It's a little bit more realistic. But again, at this point, there is no reason to even pitch high and try to change the eye level because everybody can adjust to that fastball. They're really, like I said, there's really no strategy in pitching or hitting, in my opinion, with the game in the current state it is. So hopefully they can fix the pitch speed and then allow us to drop our PCI a little bit more. I'm perfectly fine if you hit the bottom part of the strike zone really consistently. You're hitting, you know, your sinkers and your changeups, and it's a borderline pitch, and you got people out there flailing and early on a little bit, and they're ground down a lot. I'm perfectly fine with that. I just think it's to the point where you can't even hit a low pitch right now, and I think that's just a little bit too OP. So honestly, I think this is probably the biggest problem when it comes to hitting right now. Whether or not they can fix this easily, I'm not sure. I hope they can, but I think that's honestly the biggest problem. Something else with the hitting is the PCI placement. I forgot to kind of mention that, but the PCI placement, it does require a little bit more precision compared to previous iterations of the show. However, again, there still seems to be some randomness to it, which, you know, I can live with that. Basically, I just want consistency, and I think that's what most people want, is just consistency. Every now and then, you know, you'll have a good timing hit. It might not be perfectly centered, but it'll be all the way in your buckshot with a good hitter against a common pitcher, and sometimes it'll just be like a weak fly out. But for the most part, it seems like if you're squaring up the pitch, you're hitting it pretty decent. So that part to me is pretty good about the hitting. It does require a lot of precision. Like if you're barely on top of it or barely under it, yeah, it won't go very far. It's requiring a lot of precision. That's why you see a lot of the hitting stats are not as high as you think they'd be with the current pitch speed. It's because the PCI is taking a lot of precision, and this is even with bigger PCIs. So, and that's going to transition to my next thought here. The PCIs are really big, but again, I don't think it matters a whole lot because the precision it requires with your PCI anyway. So I feel like that kind of counters one another. So I really don't think the big PCIs are a problem, even though they are really big. Like right now, I'm playing on Hall of Fame against Kershaw. So you think my PCI would be small, but it looks like it's, you know, it's on All-Star, what All-Star would look like from last year. So that's pretty much all with the hitting. I'll talk about the pitching a little bit. All right, so for the pitching, I will say it is more difficult this year. If you miss your spots, it's just less consistent. It's more likely to hang, which, you know, I'm fine with that. But even at times when you get a perfect execution on your analog, it's not going to the spot where you put it, which I don't know. I really need to do more testing on this, but for the most part, a lot of it just seems kind of random. I don't think it's as big of a deal as like the hitting is right now, and I think it's, for the most part, it's okay. I think I just need to do a little bit more testing, especially to see if walks per nine and control kind of affect your consistency a little bit, and it makes it a little easier to hit your spots. Because I do see from time to time where I am executing my interface perfectly, and I'm just not hitting my spot. I don't know if it's because of the pitcher. I'm sure some of it has to, you know, do with the pitcher's walks per nine, possibly control. But again, it's just something I kind of have to test more. But I will say it is a lot more difficult to pitch. It's got a higher sensitivity. It's less forgiving. So if you miss your spot, you might not know where the ball's going. They kind of made it more like meter pitching, which isn't necessarily a bad thing because analog pitching was a little bit too easy, and it's probably by far the best pitching interface to use. And I think if you're, you know, a good or competent player, I think most of you guys have transitioned to analog pitching by now. So I'm not saying it's a bad thing or a good thing. I'm just going to say that it's a little harder and it's a little bit more random. Whether that's good or bad, I'm not sure yet. But yeah, that's how I feel about pitching. I haven't used any of the other interfaces. I might go over them in just one video. Next thing I want to talk about is the fielding. And even though you can't really see it since I'm just doing batting practice, but the fielding has been really inconsistent, and it's almost to the point where it feels like it's a dice roll. Even if they have bad fielding or good fielding, it just feels like a dice roll. Like they can't make even routine plays consistently. So I don't know. It just feels like people are, the better players or the more competent players are starting to pick up on the fact it's hard to hit low pitches, so they're just spamming that. And it's just a lot of choppers, and I don't know, it's just a lot of randomness, and I'm not really liking the direction that game is going with so much RNG. But they definitely need to fix fielding and make it a little bit more consistent, at the very least. I don't know if the tiers are doing this or what, but as far as like fielding the ball and making a play, especially ground balls, they seem to be really bad. Even when the ball gets to the outfield, outfielders will just miss ground balls, and it'll go all the way to the wall. And that's kind of another thing. Like, once the ball gets past the infield, it kind of speeds up and just keeps going for whatever reason. It did that last year, and it's doing it again this year. And I'm also seeing outfielders jog at the ball again. And I've even seen times where you hit like a ground ball to first base, and the first baseman won't even move. He'll just stand there, and it'll give you control of the second baseman. So there's just a little bitty things like that are making fielding not so fun, just really random and fluky. And players are struggling to even make routine plays. Like, these are plays that like high school kids would make, and they're just not making them in this game. And I think it's a little bit too much. So I'm not really sure what the fix can be there. Hopefully they can just reduce the tier threshold maybe, but I'm not sure. One more thing about the fielding though. There's a few things I'm gonna go over here. The fielding, as far as tags, they're good. Stealing feels about the same. But like when you get in rundowns and whatnot, the tagging is a lot better. They have a little bit better sense of urgency. The catchers hop on, wild pitches or pitches in the dirt right next to them. They'll hop on them a little bit faster, have a little bit more sense of urgency, throw the ball a little harder. So all that is better. It's really just the fielding with the balls off the bat, especially ground balls. It's just, I don't know. You guys probably have already seen it yourself, but yeah, it's just a lot of randomness when it comes to fielding in general. Now, as far as other things like servers for the most part have been pretty good. I really haven't had any complaints. I know there's been some issues with the market and whatnot, but there definitely been a huge upgrade with the servers. For the last 5 or 6 years that I've been playing this game, the servers have been a mess at day one, and I think last year was probably the worst it's ever been on day one on launch. Now, keep in mind, this is still early access and the game comes out tonight, so maybe that'll change, but I'm not sure. I think the servers will hold up just fine. There has been a few problems like games not counting and whatnot, but it is by far the best I've ever seen the MLB The Show server, so that is definitely a step in the right direction. The menus and everything are a lot smoother and faster to scroll through, so that's all good. Alright, one more thing to add that I think is actually a positive, and I don't hear a lot of people talking about this. The umpires are better. I don't know if they're still on variable, but the umpires are definitely better. They're more consistent. Like, you don't see calls like that being called a strike, and you don't see balls all the way in the strike zone be called a ball. For the most part, they're pretty consistent. So, I'm happy with the umpires, and that's a good thing because they were really bad in 17 and 16. So, they're not always going to make the perfect calls, but for the most part, if you get the ball in the strike zone, it's a strike, and if you miss, it's a ball. So, really nothing to complain about the strike zone. I think it's a lot better. But anyways, guys, that's pretty much going to be it for my initial impressions. Let me know what you guys think of the game overall, and what you guys think. Give me your pros and cons, what you think is good, what you think is bad. I'm sure there'll be some patches up and coming. There was already one put out this morning. I'm not sure what it even fixed, but I'm sure they're going to try to fix, some of these issues. Whether or not it's the issues that I want them to fix or not, I don't know. We'll have to see. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Again, let me know in the comments what you guys are thinking of the game. Are you enjoying it? Do you even have a copy yet? Are you going to get your copy tonight? Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. This is Cardinal Number 5 signing out. Peace.